Hey everybody, it's Jane.
And Mike.
From Earth Care Farm. We're here, it's September 15th, and we are, as we clear out things in our home garden, as the beds become empty, we're just replenishing the beds with, I'm topping them with our raised bed mix, or you could add compost or whatever you have in your neck of the woods. It's a pretty simple process. All I've been doing is, let me see, I've got my wheelbarrow full of raised bed mix, and I've just been doing, I don't know, it's a couple inches, 2 to 3 inches that I'm topping on top. Let that tractor pass by. I like to do it this time of year. A lot of people, most people do this in the spring, and we do it in the fall, mostly practically because we have a little more time in the fall. The spring we have so many tasks to do, and it's busiest at the farm then. I find it's easier now, and there's something nice about ending the season, fully putting these beds to rest for the winter and feeling like we've just given them a nice blanket of raised bed mix or composter.
In the spring you're so busy with other chores, and we normally get spring rains, where this is a better time of year to be top dressing, and then you're all ready to go in the spring. It makes life much simpler.
It's a comfortable time of year to work too. And then, so you can kind of see what I did here. Once I get my 2 to 3 inches, I then just kind of use my rake to smooth it out a bit. And the reason I'm doing this is so that when it does rain, the water won't be pooling in certain areas. It'll be really evenly soaking into the surface of this bed. And you'll find that that's a really nice thing. If all winter long this was getting hit with rain and unevenly, you'd have areas that were super saturated, areas that were dry, you'd have runoff. And so I just like to really nicely smooth out those kitty prints, paw prints that are in this bed.
And Jane mentioned it's 2 to 3 inches. Well, we have the luxury of having lots of compost, but that's kind of, for a homeowner that makes their own compost, even 1 inch is very beneficial if you're doing it every single year.
There's so much life in this material that you're just adding so much to your beds. After I do this, so it's September 15th, we have a couple months now where I'm preparing all the beds as things are pulled out. And at the end, I'm gonna put a mulch, like a straw or leaves, over the surface of all of these beds, just to kind of help, another cushion, another food source for the microorganisms, keeping that ground covered.
If you put down straw mulch or leaves, if you don't want to buy straw, the microorganisms will decompose that throughout the spring and next summer.
Yeah, this is stuff that we spread in the springtime, and it's still pretty good, but it's breaking down quite a bit. So it'll incorporate back in beautifully this winter. And then some of our beds that I have done this to, we can show you in the high tunnel, where it's a little more protected. It's not heated, but it's protected. We can actually sow winter greens this week. This is the perfect time to do that, mid-September. A little later on, and it's a real slow germination, but right now we have a window of opportunity to plant greens so that we can have spinach and kales throughout the winter. So we can show you what that bed looks like, just freshly sown yesterday.
So it is important to put something down, because a lot of people buy compost and amend their soil, or get the raised bed mix in and get great results for a year or two, and then they wonder why it's not as good 3 or 4 years later. Well, it's you're benefiting the soil for 1,000 years when you put compost down, but the plants need a little fresh nourishment on a regular annual basis.
Just supporting those plants, supporting that soil, keeping that loop going. Here we are in our high tunnel, where we also yesterday just spread raised bed mix, and I sowed winter spinach. This was winter spinach. We did an Olympia spinach and space spinach, 3 different types of spinach that are awesome because they're going to be ready to harvest right about Thanksgiving time. And there's nothing like having fresh greens on the table for your family that you grew at Thanksgiving. I couldn't think of anything more to give thanks for. Hi, Panther. You're going to mess up my bed.
We're not supposed to walk on beds, but you can't control everything.
Yeah, you're compacting the soil. All right, thank you, everybody.